Let's take a look at how to use task templates and to create a template. The idea behind task templates and tasks is keeping track of deadlines as well as to-do items on your transaction. So here we can see an example where I've got some upcoming deadlines and then I have some past deadlines. If it's in green, it means I marked it complete. It's already been done. And then to-do items on the right here are ones that don't have a date scheduled for them. So they're sitting over on this right side. They're just the items I have to take care of. So the list at top are the ones that are incomplete. And then anytime I mark something complete, it gets put down at the bottom and in green so that I know these are complete. These are also shared with your TC or assistant if you are set up with those on this transaction. Now, how do we do this? How do we get this? What we're going to do is be able to either add a task manually, such as remove the yard sign, and I can either schedule it or not schedule it. If I don't schedule it, it'll show up in my to-do list over here. We can also add templates by referring to templates that we created that we can reuse over and over again in all of our transactions. So I can select from here one of these. If this listing, for example, goes under contract, I can choose that one and it will automatically apply everything in that template to my transaction. And then I can go through what I need to do. A lot of agents, brokerages, and teams have about 30 to-do items that they work on for every listing and every buyer. And so this makes it very easy to reuse based on templates so that you can make sure you take care of everything that you need to do, because there's a lot to remember between the yard sign and the MLS status and just all the forms and getting it to your brokerage and all of that. So the way we're going to create our template is we're going to select the drop down at the upper right where our name is and go down to templates and select on task. So this brings us to our task templates, and here I can add a new template, or these are the ones I've already created. So the listing under contract, the one I just selected and added to my transaction, I can edit, copy, or delete. So I'm going to edit this one and take a look, and here's what they look like. You have your template name and then each task in here, and you can specify whether it's one day after a particular date, such as the contract date or the closing date. You can also go before, how many days before the closing date that thing applies. Or it could have no date, and then it's a to-do item. And if we wanted to create a brand new template ourselves, we could do this and name it whatever we want. After closing, this is seller specific. So I'm going to do for each task, I'm going to fill out this little form. So send out just sold postcards. And I'm going to say, I'm going to deal with that 3 days after closing. And then I'm going to click the add button in the bottom right. So now it's listed. Here's the template name that I'm going to reference when I'm inside a transaction. And then here is the task that I just added. So for each task, I'm going to go through this process again. I'm going to click the add task button and I'm going to say remove yard sign. And maybe I can do that and the lockbox all in one. Some people might want to have these separate. And this one, maybe I'm not going to put necessarily a date on it. I just want it to be a to-do item. And then we can do a few more. Set MLS status to sold. And maybe that has to be done within 2 days after closing. So maybe we'll put that as a deadline. And we'll also want to set status in TransActioner to closed. We'll do that 1 day after. And you can keep adding items in here such as your thank you notes, just sold on social media posts, verify you got paid, whether it's direct deposit or you pick up your check and deposit it, submitting all your documents to your brokerage. All these things can be added in here. And then I'm going to just click submit, and we're going to see this new one in here in my task templates. So now when I go back to my transactions, I'm just going to click on the logo for quick access. I am working on the seller. I'm going to go click on tasks on the left, and here's where I am going to then apply my new one. After closing, I'll select it, and it's going to add it to my list, my to-do items, as well as anything that got scheduled. Now, what will happen is if I don't have a closing date scheduled, because I did things based on the closing date, it's going to set it up as a to-do item. So in this overview section, this is where I'd want to set the closing date, March 6th, April 6th. That's a Saturday. Let's do April 5th. And then when I click submit, let's make sure there's a contract date in here. We'll say it was February 1st. So now when I apply the template, the one I just did, the ones with dates are now going to show up because it has a reference point for what that closing date is. And so that's our task templates. And then you'll see on the overview any of those deadlines within the next 4 days, or yesterday, or today, or the next 2 days. It'll show up on our calendar, and it'll show up on our calendar for the transaction. Closing date, set status in TransActioner, send out the just sold postcards. And on our overview calendar, so this is of all of our transactions, as well as the calendar inside our transaction. All right, so that's our tasks. If you have any ideas, suggestions, or anything you want improved on that, please let us know. We are here for you to build what you want to make your life better, more efficient, and an exceptional experience for your buyers and sellers. Thank you so much. Please subscribe if you want to keep up to date with all the new videos that we submit about TransActioner.